Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Podium of Truth, where God's message is our mission. Speaking of God's message, for our very first episode, we are going to talk about the Word of God. Anyone here looking to create a positive and powerful change in their life? Well, this video is for you. This here is the Holy Bible, the written Word of God. And in the beginning, God used words to create all of creation. Ladies and gentlemen, that is power. Now here is the Word of God. This is power. Whenever you are reading the Word of God, you're not just reading a book. You're stepping into a conversation with the Creator Himself. And a couple of things about this book is the Word of God, it's alive. The Word of God is alive. According to Hebrews 4, verse 12, we're getting there. For the Word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit and of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Listen to how deep that is. That's a deep Word of God right there. See, the Word of God is alive. It's powerful. It strengthens your mind. It transforms your life. That's what this is for God to speak into your life, for those positive changes, for those victories we're looking for. That's what God is trying to speak into your life. Get in the Word, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the Word of God is not just alive, but it is also a light. Okay, I thought that was going to be cooler than what it was, but in life we find ourselves in some pretty dark places, or maybe we just need some guidance on certain situations. Psalms 119 verse 5. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I know I'm a way better singer than Ed Sheeran, but hey, you can go ahead and thank Emmanuel Lutheran School back in Berryville, Missouri for that. In a world full of confusion and darkness, we don't have to stumble around. We have a divine GPS, but it only works if you turn it on. You got to open up the book, you got to open up the Word for it to work. Got to open the Word to make it work. So if you are ever wondering, why don't I ever hear from God? I would ask, how often are you in His Word? See, you use words to speak. He uses His Word to speak. Now, some people sometimes ask, how do I know it's God speaking and not my own thoughts, or thoughts of the world, or the people, or maybe even the devil himself, just trying to be sneaky? Well, if your son or husband or wife or one of your loved ones gives you a call on the cell phone, you don't have to ask for an introduction of who they are. You already know who they are. That's because you recognize their voice. Same thing with this. The more time you spend in the Bible, the more time you spend in His Word, the more you're going to recognize His voice. So it is alive, it is a light, and it is also a weapon. Yes, you heard me right. It is a weapon. I can take you right to the verse that says so. Ephesians 6, verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God. Now, did you hear that? We are fighting against wicked principalities in the heavenly places. In other words, we are not wrestling against flesh and blood. We are not wrestling against other people. We are wrestling against evil itself. Now, to defeat a heavenly enemy, we need a heavenly weapon. Verse 17, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. That's right, this is a sword. This is the sword of the Spirit. This is the Word of God, the sword of the Spirit. This life is a battle. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The enemy wants to keep you weak. He wants to keep you distracted. He wants to keep you defeated. And whenever you pick up the Word of God, you memorize these verses, you claim these promises, that is another victory over the enemy. Now let's look at some of the other items in the armor of God. Found here in chapter 6, we're going to go back to verse 14. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Now I want you to notice something. The Word of God, the sword of the Spirit, this is the only offensive item found in that. Everything else is defense. The helmet, the shield, the belt, all of it is defensive items. The only offense you have is the sword of the Spirit. And if all you're doing is playing defense with the devil, how are you going to expect to win? So do you want positive change in your life? Do you want powerful change in your life? Are you looking for victories? Look no farther. Right here we have the Word of God. It is time to dig in. Thank you for tuning in to the Podium of Truth, spreading the gospel best way we know how.